Hey, good morning. Happy Friday. This is your last lesson, lesson 3. And yay, I'll be back next Monday. Can't wait. Miss you guys so much. I'm going to read Life Today in Oceania. All right, we're going to talk about how things are going there in Oceania. Remember your deal that you have to answer your questions here in the margin and the big question at the end. Do not forget, that's important. Okay, why do people make economic choices? Well, we kind of know that, whether we have money or not, whether it's worth the money that we're going to spend on things. So you're going to follow along with your terms, which you already have them in your Quizlet. I want you to fill in this table. Many of you did not do that for the Australia Antarctic, so you're going to fill in things you think you already know, and after we read, you're going to fill in things you now have learned. The economies of Oceania. How do the people of Oceania earn their living? Meaning, how do they make money to afford the things that they need? Okay, Papua New Guinea has the most valuable natural resources in Oceania. Gold and copper are the country's most profitable resources. They account for about 60% of the country's export income. Other major exports are silver, timber, and cash crops. Cash crops are grown or gathered to sell for profit. And that's not a new term for you. You've known that. Okay, most of the nations... Many people have jobs in various industries. Sorry, I'm at the top of 340. Many people have jobs in various industries. However, the vast majority of Papua New Guinea's people live by subsistence farming. Do you remember subsistence farming? We did that a long time ago, even when we were doing Africa. Okay. Although unemployment is low, most people earn low incomes. The government plans to increase exports of minerals and petroleum to strengthen the country's economy. And now I'm right here at this chart, looking over the chart that lists the cash crops, subsistence crops, and industries. Okay. Smaller independent island countries throughout Oceania face many obstacles to economic development. They have limited land, poor soil, and large populations. They must import much of their food, fuel, finished goods, and raw materials. Most important, far more than they export. Many import 5 or 6 times as many as they export. In Tuvalu, for example, imports exceed exports by 200. That means they send out 200. Everything that they get in, okay, they take in, and then they only send one product out. So they take in 200 like pieces of clothing and can only export maybe one piece of furniture that they may have made out of the local woods. All right, so 200 to 1. People on smaller islands raise what food they can by subsistence farming. Some islands raise limited cash crops such as fruits, vegetables, sugar, nuts, coffee, tea, cocoa, and palm and coconut oils. Farms and plantations employ some residents, but the work is exhausting and very little pay. Most fishing operations in Oceania are small. Fishers catch only enough to feed their family or to sell in the local markets. Most island countries do not have equipment or processing facilities to operate large fishing industries. Some of them sell fishing rights to other countries. Japan, Taiwan, South Korea, and the United States all pay for access to Oceania's marine resources. On islands that have minerals and other marketable resources, many people work for industries such as mining, fishing, clothing, and farming. Some people make a living by using local materials to create art and to create craft tools and artifacts. Tourism is important to the economies of many small independent countries. Tourists come from all over the world to enjoy the sunshine, warm waters, and beautiful views. And by looking at some of the pictures, you can see why people would want to travel and visit these places. Resorts provide comfortable lodging, food, recreation, and entertainment. Without the revenue from tourism, many small islands would be at risk of economic collapse. Many people on islands with less developed economies depend on money from family members living overseas. Foreign earned wages, called remittances, are vital resources for income for families. Many of the islands have what are called MIREB economies. That means they have migration, remittance, aid, and bureaucracy. And we're going to talk about those things. Migration, you know, is one of our terms from our 5 themes of geography. Okay? Islands with MIREB economies depend on outside aid and remittance. One example is the Polynesian nation of Tonga. Tonga raises a few export crops such as squash, vanilla beans, and root vegetables. Probably like potatoes or sweet potatoes, things that grow in the ground and you dig them up. Okay? The tourism industry also brings some revenue. However, 75% of all Tongan families receive remittance. Tonga and many other small island countries also depend on aid from foreign governments. Australia, Great Britain, Japan, New Zealand, and the United States have created trust funds for many islands. Foreign aid is used for food, schools, water, and sanitation, and other basic needs. It also funds economic development. U.S. territories such as Guam and Wake Island are home to U.S. military bases. Local people are employed in industries that serve the needs of military personnel. Issues that face the region. What challenges do the people of Oceania face? The future is uncertain for the islands of Oceania. Migration is a major issue. So many young people have left Oceania to seek work overseas that the population of some of the islands has changed dramatically. Half of all Tongan people live abroad. That means they live far away. A large percentage of people remaining in Tonga are children or older people unable to work. More and more Tongans are born in other countries. Before long, the majority of Tongan people will be born and raised overseas, weakening the culture that ties them to their homeland. Another major issue is the need for economic development. On many islands, economic development is slow because of the lack of resources. As people migrate to cities to try to find work, fewer people are growing their own food. Many countries of Oceania import more goods and services than they export. Remember that 200 to 1? Okay? When a country imports more than it exports, the entire economy is affected. Countries like to export more than they import because that creates jobs there at the country's base and the demand for goods and services. Okay? Most of the nations of Oceania are free of conflict, but there is some unrest. Crime and human rights abuses are problems on some islands. In Fiji, tensions between natives and immigrants from India lead to conflicts. The people of Guadalcanal and people from the neighboring island of Malaysia disagreed on land rights, but peace was restored with the help of the United Nations. Oceania faces serious environmental issues. These include climate change, deforestation, pollution, natural disasters, and declining fish populations. Climate change is one of the most serious issues in the region. With continued global warming, sea levels continue to rise. And if this continues, many of the low islands could be completely covered by water. Some of the lowest islands are already experiencing surface flooding from rising oceans and eroding beaches. Natural disasters such as earthquakes, tsunamis, typhoons, and resulting floods have the potential to destroy homes and claim lives. They also damage farmland and natural habitats. Commercial fishing companies have harvested so many fish from some of the areas that almost no fish remain for local people to catch and eat. When huge numbers of fish are caught at once, the remaining fish are unable to reproduce fast enough to restore the population. And in time, entire fish populations will be gone. Ocean pollution also threatens the survival of fish and other marine animals. So you can see these beautiful islands are in a thread and may not be that vacation tourist spot that we all look and on pictures and say, wow, I'd really like to go there. But I want you to go through the video, take your time, pause and stop if you need, and answer the questions completely, okay? Have a good day, and I will see you Monday. Have a great weekend.